Hi, and welcome to MentorCore. If you're new here, we're a community focused on helping people in the security, risk, and compliance fields grow their careers and leadership skills through mentoring. You can find more information about MentorCore at mentorcore.biz. I'm Dan Ayala, along with Lisa Beth Lentini Walker. Now, on to this week's discussion.
Well, we are so happy today because we have Jarrell Oshodi here with us. I happened to meet her actually a number of months ago through an app called Clubhouse, and I was so impressed. She has a phenomenal background, privacy practitioner, has worked for amazing locations, including the CDC. And I am not going to steal any more of your thunder because we always start out with asking you to tell us a little bit about you. So tell me a little bit about you today.
Hi, thank you so much. Yes, I am born and raised in New Orleans. I have two toddlers. My husband, my family, we all live in Atlanta, and I am a government employee. I've been with the Department of Veteran Affairs, the National Institutes of Health, Department of Justice, currently the CDC, all in data governance, compliance. And I'm licensed and barred in Georgia as well. And I also provide privacy trainings for large corporations, virtually, workshops in person, consults, just to keep them abreast, keep their employees abreast of global privacy laws, policies, procedures, and best practices.
Love that. Love that. Well, you're clearly not busy at all, as you have the two toddlers, the amazing career on top of doing some very entrepreneurial work in the training space. Tell me a little bit about what is exciting to you about what's happening in privacy, and in particular, like, are there things that are happening right now that really get you like animated or worried or excited?
So, as I said, my background is government. And so I actually started with FOIA, Freedom of Information Act, completing FOIA requests and privacy access requests. So I've been doing this, or have been doing this since 2010. And so now to see people in the private sector caring about data subject requests, data access requests, and people reaching out to me to find out about it. To find out about it, and are they doing the process properly, and different things like that. That's kind of exciting to me because for a long time, I didn't feel as though my skill sets were transferable or whatever matter outside of the government. So that's kind of exciting that I'm helping people in the private sector create their processes and procedures when it comes to data subject rights, and helping people get access to their data who didn't know that they could request certain things be erased or corrected, or just to be notified about what these companies have on them.
So it's interesting. So you're in the health and research sector, and it's one of the most important parts about research. And I also come out of the health research world as well. Is the ability to take research results and recreate them. But one of the difficulties is also being able to provide that kind of information in a way that doesn't put the original data subjects at risk. How are we doing on that in terms of, as a government agency, how are we doing as an industry in getting that better and being able to provide more of the raw data to prove out the science in a time when science is under attack? But doing so in a way that doesn't put individuals at greater risk. Are we making good progress?
Well, first, I would like to say that as an employee of the CDC, nothing that I say is a reflection of the U.S. or the CDC or the Department of Health, and only my thoughts alone. But as a best practice, we try to use de-identified data, anonymous data, and measures like that to make sure that no sensitive personal information or personal data is at risk. Also, we try our best to make use of, organizations try their best to make use of data use agreements to make sure that we understand when you're sharing data with another organization that we're on the same page, making sure that they have the same technical, physical, or administrative controls in place that you do.
Now, I know that one of the things that you're really passionate about is training. Why did you get so interested in training, and why have you started going down the path of doing these engagements with larger corporations to connect with their employees?
Well, I'm an attorney, and I'm not technical, and I'm not a technologist. I do work closely. I love privacy engineers. They're the translators for us to the technologists. But I like the proactive side of the house versus the reacting and responding to data breaches and incidents. I enjoy the training, and to be honest, I guess I was told that I was good at it. I was able to deliver training in a way that people understood it. And I think it's because I'm not technical, so I'm able to speak the language of most of the employees. So I thought it was cool that people enjoyed the training that I provided to them, and they were able to use the cool mnemonics I created to help them remember privacy best practices that they wouldn't otherwise have recalled because the information may not be as interesting to them.
I gotta love it when you can speak human, because I think that's one of the things that's missing from so many parts of these professions is we get so lost in the technical and like knowing all of the rules and all of the acronyms. And boy, do we sometimes lose the audience if we do that.
Yes, most definitely.
So are there any things that you particularly like to do in your trainings that you think are particularly effective? You mentioned that you use mnemonics to try to land messages. Is there anything else that you've learned through your experiences with training?
Keep it short, keep bite-sized pieces, bite-sized topics, informing them exactly what we're going to discuss so they know what to look forward to. Stating the subject, listing what the subjects will be, and then connecting them, providing many knowledge checks, and applying those rules to their actual job, their position, the software that they actually use, not such broad hypotheticals. Actually discussing the personal data that they're utilizing in their working group. Those I find that people are most receptive to, and they remember. It's hard to remember just generics. I know many times I've read a SOP or read something I'm supposed to do at work, but unless I have on-the-job training, unless I have someone that's showing me how to do it as I'm learning, it's hard to really remember. We need to apply those things. So also having those real-life scenarios to help you work through, while you have someone who's an expertise, help you work through the process and how to problem solve and how to attack that scenario.
What is making the most positive impact when it comes to training? Not in terms of style, but are there topic areas that are resonating with people these days? when it comes to data protection and privacy? What's hitting home with the people you are supporting and the other communities that you're part of?
From what I see, working from home with many people working from home now, home office, best practices, different trainings that share privacy and security best practices, where people see that security and privacy are different, but they do overlap. And it's the small things. I'm laughing because I just did a training, which something that I thought was a very simple training. And I simply explained never to save any data locally while you're working from home. And I stated how to, if you're unsure of how to encrypt, if you're using a certain software, you can, in the subject line, you can put brackets around the subject to encrypt it, to send it. Those were the two highlights of the training that people said they never knew. They never knew how to encrypt the email. And all this time, they didn't know that they weren't supposed to be saving. No one ever said that. So I don't know if it was something where management assumed that this was common sense. But for me, it's always the little gems that I least expect that I get the most positive feedback from. And it never ceases to amaze me because I spent so much time working on a great presentation and they never really recognize the things that I thought were great about.
Yeah, it really is, back to your point earlier about it really is the little things, especially those of us with our heads deep into the field, forget that aren't in everybody's basic knowledge. It doesn't come by default, the idea that the encryption, that the OME encryption is there, that it can be used that easily and when to use it. So as a security officer, thank you for continuing to share those, because it's good way beyond just beyond the privacy world. Said keep doing it, keep finding the small tidbits. I really like that piece of advice, and I'm going to take that into some of my own training as well.
No, I still can't believe. I mean, and it's because it was just so recent. I was just like, what? I stayed up until midnight perfecting so much about it. but
I really like the color you used in the background. Yeah, people will definitely focus on things you don't expect.
Yeah.
Right. And some of that is like, as we continue to connect with our audiences, sometimes we find out things about the audience that we didn't expect. And then it's good to know and pass that along because it may be a common theme.
Yes, that's true. I did a training where it was just for Privacy Day, and to help remember best practices, I used the mnemonic Mind Yours, MIND URS. So map your data, implement privacy by design, notify employees, third parties, and clients, develop privacy operations. So like privacy trainings, data subject access rights, things like that. Understanding contracting, making sure you have your data protection clauses, and understanding the vendor due diligence requirements, risk assessments, so like PIAs or DPIAs, and security function collaboration. So I provided that mnemonic, and after the training, the company reached out and asked to license the mnemonic. I had never, and they asked about like, how much do I charge? Would I charge to create a one-pager and allow them to license the mnemonic to place on their intranet page? Thought never crossed my mind. Apparently that's now an entirely new income stream for me.
That's amazing.
That's wonderful. And
yes, Mind Yours.
I hope you don't mind. I'll type it up and share it in the show notes.
Yes.
Copyright.
It was a hit.
Copyright you.
It was my most well-received mnemonic.
That's
Nice.
great. Is that something you do a lot of, is mnemonics? You mentioned it earlier too.
I do. It's how I was successful in law school. And it worked for me. And I just continued doing it.
I love that we are continuing to, bring in all of these different things that may not be standard fare, right, for how training has been done, because we all know that training has been tedious and difficult along the way. And so as we bring in these new things that have worked for us in our personal lives, and we bring those like human touches, I think it really resonates differently with the people that we're trying to connect with.
I'm glad you said that. Something else that I recently put in place because of our short attention spans and just the new generation. I cannot believe I just said that. But, I was booted out of the Young Professionals Network. So the younger people.
Because you're no longer part of the Young Professionals Network.
The TikTok style learning, short, our attention span is so short, and these short 15-second to 30-second videos providing bite sizes of information, especially when you understand that it's a series that we're about to discuss, and you understand how they work together. I found that if you look at the video, the number of clicks, new clicks, people who open those videos if you put it on your learning management system and look at the intranet page, you'll see the shorter videos get the most clicks. So
what can I get through fastest?
They're digestible. I mean, we are in a society that's run by the second rather than by the minute or the hour.
But yes. So one 15-minute training won't get as many views, but if you break it down into 5 3-minute trainings, you'll get tons of views, tons of clicks, which is interesting.
In your experience, though, is the material getting through in the same way, the whole corpus of material that needs to be covered, getting through in the same way, knowing that you have to regain their attention 80 times versus 80 small videos versus, let's say, 5 longer ones?
Depending on the knowledge checks, I think if it's just those simple A, B, C, D, check the correct answer box, maybe not. But if it's more interactive, drag and drop options, putting them in the situation, as I said before, I think interactive knowledge checks are helpful in that space. But there's privacy training. That's why they call it privacy training and awareness. You kind of have to constantly find new ways to get through the people, and it has to be in different mediums, you know what I mean? Videos, pictures, one-pagers, full trainings, live presentations, lunch and learns, newsletters.
Gone are the days of popping everybody in a lecture hall and saying, I will be speaking now for the next 2 hours.
Sir.
Yeah. Well, I can't believe it, but we are like pretty much at the end of our time, and we always ask the same questions at the end of our time together, which is, what's the best advice you've ever gotten from a mentor?
The best advice I've ever gotten is never be afraid to make the ask. The worst thing that they can do is say no. And there's been so many opportunities that I've overthought, overanalyzed, and just so afraid to put myself out there. But you don't make any baskets that you don't take. And so I have been so surprised, including you, how many people I think all these people are so important, so busy, you know what I mean? And I reach out and ask, hi, do you mind providing a warm intro to this person? I think this person could really help, or I could really add value to this person. Or, hi, I have a quick question about this opportunity. I am amazed at how many yeses I get. And as I always just realize, the worst that they could do is say no. It sets me up for success, because I'm living in abundance. I just feel like the world is my oyster. You know what I mean? What's a no? What's one or two no's? It's just so insignificant to me now. My mindset is just completely different. And it just makes my goals, my dreams, and the life I want for my children that much more accessible, because of all of these people, all these mentors who are lifting as they climb with no problem. I don't know where I got the thought that they would be just too important for me, or, not want to help. I created it, I guess, in my head, but that's been the best advice. And if I didn't have that advice, I would have never met you and built a relationship with you. You just gave me your phone number. I was like, OMG.
Well, I'm glad that you have that approach, and I'm glad that more and more people are getting that approach, because you're right. It's absolutely, the world is way more approachable. The world is way smaller in that way than it ever has been. That's great. Well, thank you so much for being here, Jarrell. Really appreciate it. Jarrell Oshodi, from Deputy Chief Privacy Officer of the Centers for Disease Control, and prolific mnemonic maker. Thank you so much for being here. And thanks to you, our listener and watcher, for being here. We really appreciate you as well. And we really love your feedback. You can find us at our website, mentorcore.biz. You can email us with your thoughts, feedback, and show ideas and guest ideas at info@mentorcore.biz. And you can find us on Twitter at mentor_core. Thanks again for being here, and we'll see you again on the next MentorCore.